Well, good afternoon. Thanks for coming in today. We just want to do a really informal presentation to everyone about our presentation of the 2019 city budget. City Controller Russ Lloyd is here. Dan Hedden is the city's financial advisor from Onball Associates and helps us throughout the budget formation process. Also have Janet Coudray and Julie Probius from the City Controller's office, and they work countless hours to get us to the point where we are today. Some of the highlights of the proposed 2019 budget. It's a balanced budget, but it certainly reinforces the fact that we have to live within our means. We really work diligently to manage operating budgets in an era where growth in property tax revenue, that's really kind of the lifeblood of revenue for local governments, is really slowed, not just here but across Indiana. We have some overarching goals of this budget. That is to meet the demands of city government, including public safety, the many demands of our water and sewer utility, along with infrastructure and quality of life. All of our residents expect and demand all improvements in all those categories. Public safety, local income tax is a new revenue stream to the mix this year, and we are including that in planning to utilize that both in the operating budget and the capital budget. That's a tool we've not had in the past. One of our goals is to protect the accreditation of Mesker Park Zoo while continuing to make additions there. As many of you know, the carousel opened just over a year ago. Amazing turnout for that and great response from that. The aviary is under construction. We hope to have that complete by year's end, and we are now in the design stages for the penguin exhibit, and that is going really well. So we need to continue to improve the zoo. Also looking to continue our blight elimination program. As many of you know, several years ago we identified 1,800 blighted residential properties in the city. To date, we've torn down about 350 structures. 2/3 of those have been acquired through the land bank program. So we're grateful for, one, the Indiana legislature's creating the legislation to give us the ability to land bank, and the council's assistance in funding that over the years. We also have to continue to fund improvements to the water and sewer utility. This is not a matter of what if, but must-dos. Everything we're doing in the water and sewer utility department are really on the city's must-do list. I was with Alan Mounts, our water and sewer utility director, in January in Chicago with a meeting with the EPA, and we're still waiting to hear back from them on a couple of requests that we made at that time. That's on the sewer side. On the water side, we are in year 2 of, and proposing actually for year 3, continuing the city's water line replacement program. As you know, we're trying to replace 15 miles of water line a year. It's an expensive process. It's about $1.8 million per mile. But again, we have about 1,000 miles of water line in the city, much of it very, very old and needs to be replaced. The overall budget, if you just look at, I'm not sure what page it is on your summary, but the one with the graph, or the charts rather, the general fund budget about $87 million. The water and sewer utility alone is about $184 million. And when you combine everything, the city budget is about $402 million. This is it's a large budget. The big driver of the increase really is related to the water and sewer utility. One of the challenges, as I mentioned, in a period of slow growth in terms of property taxes to local units of government, are the circuit breakers that are in place. In 2019, that represents a loss of about $14 million in lost revenue to the city. So we're trying to maintain all the levels of service without that amount of money. The proposed budget, even though it is a balanced budget, does account for a 2% pay raise for employees. We anticipate that some bargaining units will have higher pay raises as those contract talks continue during the course of the year. We have about 1,200 city employees. Personnel costs take up about 87% of our overall budget. The pie charts we thought would be interesting just to give you a high level and sort of visual depiction of where our revenue comes from. The largest amount of revenue comes from sewer rates. Water rates are next, followed by property taxes and on down. Again, a large section, all that money is going to operate not only the day-to-day activities of the water and sewer utility, but also literally the hundreds of capital projects that are on the books. We have a similar pie chart that depicts general buckets of expenditures. You can see that two areas really dominate our expenses: public safety and the water and sewer utility. Should be no surprise to anyone there. Some of the key capital requests that will be taken to City Council for 2019. We want to fund 20 new vehicles for the police department, new safety vests. Time to refresh those. We also need to replace a fire pumper truck, engine 1. We also are proposing that we replace the self-contained breathing apparatus for our city firefighters, and we're proposing another $444,000 at Central Dispatch, which will finalize the technical upgrade to that facility. A little reminder there, that's a jointly funded department. The city pays roughly 2/3 of that budget, the county 1/3, and we have funded this multi-million-dollar upgrade over the last 3 years through cash. There is no debt outstanding on that upgrade. Some of the other highlights of capital requests that we're taking before council: we want to continue the blight elimination, trash and debris removal. Also, we want to continue to fund rat abatement. Not a fun thing to talk about, but a reality in any urban environment. Another $4.9 million in street resurfacing, drainage projects. There's a list that is as long as you can imagine of both requirements or needs to upgrade streets and drainage projects. We're proposing that we buy a new snow plow. We have 14 snow routes in the city, and as you can imagine, when it snows, that equipment gets heavy use. On the water and sewer side, some major projects will be funded next year, including expansion of the West Wastewater Treatment Plant. Another $29 million for the west side, 6 million gallon storage facility. That's an equalization basin that's on the sewer side. We have to start phase 1 of the effluent pump station at the site where Kids Kingdom is. Another $28 million in water line replacement, again about 15 miles, and the relocation of Waterworks Road to account for all the construction that will go on there, another $4 million. Other quality of life issues that we're taking before council: we are requesting that they fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund with $500,000. We think this is a really critical request, and I can tell you that there are some really dynamic affordable housing initiatives that will be rolled out in the broader community in the coming weeks. This will be a great way to supplement what will be rolled out later on. We propose upgrading our fleet of Mets buses, buying 5 new buses altogether, about $940,000. The federal government pays 80% of that, and we pay all of the money and we get 80% reimbursed. And we want to continue to invest in our zoo, another $460,000 toward the penguin exhibit. There are other big capital items. Just some highlights: 7 new emergency weather sirens, a backhoe for Oak Hill Cemetery, new niches at Locust Hill, a dump truck for the Urban Forestry Department, renovating the spray park at Hartkepool. There are many requests. They kind of get into the weeds, but you'll hear more about that in the coming week. A couple things that are not in the 2019 proposed budget. One is anything for Mesker Amphitheater. As much as I would love to continue to I will continue to be an advocate for upgrading that, but we have not identified a revenue stream that we think can adequately fund upgrades there. So we will continue to maintain that facility as it is today, with hopes that one day we'll have enough money to return that to the glory that it once enjoyed on Mesker Park Drive. There is nothing in the 2019 for a proposed replacement of Lloyd Pool. However, and this is a very important however, we anticipate going to City Council yet this year, and I would suspect in a very short timeline, to announce our plans for a replacement for Lloyd Pool, but it's not in the 2019 budget. As I said, multiple projects relating to the water and sewer utility, and I think those are probably pretty much it. So this afternoon, just to give you an idea of what happens this week, I'll present an overview very similar to this at 3:30 to the City Council. At that point, I'll turn it over to the City Controller, who will get really into the weeds on revenue and overall expenses as we anticipate them. During the balance of the week, the City Council will hear from every city department as they go in to justify their budget for the proposed new year. At that point, I'm sure the council members will have questions about why we've proposed one thing and not another, and we propose coming back to the council with amendments sometime in September, and we'd like to have a final vote on the budget by October 8th. We do see this as a collaborative effort. We don't expect that we will agree with City Council on everything we propose, and I don't suspect I will agree with everything that they would like to counter with, but we do understand that our citizens expect local government to continue to run smoothly, and we need a good budget to be passed. We think this is a responsible budget, and we're comfortable taking it to the City Council.